Greetings and welcome. As you come on in, please type a 16 in the chat if you can see me and hear me. It does look like we are indeed broadcasting. Greetings and welcome to SEM Mondays, and gosh, I hope the technology gods are in our favor this week, because last week, if you were with me, we had no audio. I wasn't able to fix it. Milo wasn't able to fix it on his end. And this week it looks like the video stream is way washed out, but that is better than no audio. You have to figure out what I'm saying by lip reading or my hand gestures, which not easy to do, I would imagine. So, and official greetings and welcome to SEM Mondays Live, my weekly live show here on YouTube. Just in case we have not met yet, my name is Stephen Pollitt, and I am the creator of Source-Energy-Medicine, and I've been sharing Source-Energy-Medicine since 2005. And I created specifically SEM Mondays as a way to be able to support mostly folks. In the beginning, I thought it was going to be really for people who are very new to Source-Energy-Medicine, as a way to be able to connect virtually from the comfort and safety of our own home. But to have an opportunity for me to be able to answer your questions live and in real time, because I know from my personal experience, if I'm trying something new, if I'm starting something new and I have questions and I can't find the answers, I'll likely give up. I'll likely quit. I'll likely get frustrated and just walk away in a huff. So that to me would be super sad if it were you and Source-Energy-Medicine. So I should turn up here, God willing and technology willing, every Monday at the same time. And since this pandemic started, I've extended the whole program. Right, it used to be a quick 11 minutes, just a quick Q&A to fit into everyone's busy schedule. But we've expanded the format quite extensively to allow for more Q&A and to include a group energy healing session. It's free, it's open to all, and I'll talk more about that when we get closer to that. But the first part of the show will be open Q&A. We can talk about anything that you'd like to talk about, and I have some questions that have come in from the various ways that questions make their way to me, and I'll do my best to bounce back and forth between questions that I have and questions from folks who are here with me live. And even if you're watching this in replay, you could always scroll down and leave your questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer every question that I can. So, if you are totally new to Source-Energy-Medicine and you have not yet checked out the Quick Start Guide, it's essential, because within the Quick Start Guide is everything that you'll need to be able to make and take Source-Energy-Medicines in your own home. And there's a bunch of videos in there. I think there's 16 different modules in all. And it's interesting because I had two people recently. There's 7 steps to getting started with Source-Energy-Medicine video. And in that video, I would just walk you through the Quick Start Guide. And at a certain point, I say, stop here, which is the video where I talk about the sample protocol, which shows you which Source-Energy-Medicines to take in what order and for roughly how long to take them. And I say, stop there until you've made your first 3 Source-Energy-Medicines. And a couple of people thought I meant like stop the video that they were watching. So I have to go back and look at it because I thought it was pretty funny. And I get that most people, I know I certainly am guilty of this. If I have kind of mindless chores, which I know there's no mindless chore, but my schedule is so that if I am cleaning up the kitchen at night, I really like to clean the kitchen at night, I'll typically watch something on YouTube if it's not too late. I'll typically watch something that is either research related or something that I'm interested in. And, our brains can't multitask. So at best, I'm gleaning a glimpse of the information that's being shared with me. And I get that a lot of people watch our videos like that. I hope no one's doing that with our online courses, because they're much more in depth and they're much more things that would be essential to solo task on. So I love that there are a lot of people talking about solo tasking these days. I certainly am. And we live in a culture that demands multitasking, and our brains really can't do it. We can do it to a certain degree, right? But it's really really limited in terms of quality, right? So let me just pause here and see who is with us live. Thank you, Deb, for the 16, and namaste, everyone. Happy being here. I know I am very bright, and I don't think there's anything that I can do to, actually there might be one thing that I can do to change it. Once we're broadcasting, there's with YouTube, once we're going, and then there's kind of no stopping it. So I'm just going to try this real quickly because it's annoying on my monitor, and I imagine it's challenging on your end too. So bear with me 1 second. I'll reset these parameters. And I do indeed have another new webcam on the way. So next time we are here live, there'll be my 4th webcam in just a matter of a couple of weeks. I think that solved the problem. So there's a lag, so it's going to get really dark, and then it's going to come back to what should be proper exposure. I have no idea why it's not worth talking about. So thank you, Deb. Thank you for your kind words. And there's Ada saying I could hear you with a smiley face. Welcome, Ada. Awesome to have you here with us. And Fifth Wheel Reds and blessings, everyone. I don't see any questions in the chat, but thank you, Fifth Wheel Red. Thank you, Barbara Ann, Pam and Bill. Thank you. And some updates on the video. Perfect. That's awesome. So just a heads up, next Monday I will not be here live, but I will be releasing I call them nuggets of source energy medicine wisdom videos. And this one's really special because it's a source energy medicine success story. And it is with one of the gentlemen, his name's Franco, who is, he's gone through all of our online workshops. He's a non-material source energy medicine practitioner, and he is going through the certified source energy medicine coach training, which is a new offer. We're literally creating it together. But if you've been following me for any length of time, you've heard me say likely at least a handful of times how vitally important it is to heal on essentially 3 levels, right? Consciously, unconsciously, and subconsciously. And source energy medicine is the realm of the subconscious mind, or subconscious mind is the realm of source energy medicine. And it's really where source energy medicine shines. It's the key, absolute key to long-term positive results. And beyond that, it's up to us to heal consciously and unconsciously. And that's where Franco has been on his journey, right? He's done all of the source energy medicine work. He's at his ideal energy level. And a lot of things are really beautiful and quite miraculous about his life. And yet, we all have conscious and unconscious, whether it's a wound from childhood or a belief that is limiting, we all have work to do in all 3 areas. And until we first transform the subconscious mind, working in the conscious and unconscious is, from my perspective, just to be blunt, a waste of time. And that's harsh. It's not a waste of time, but it's minimally effective, right? Which to me is a waste of time. If something's only going to be a little bit helpful, why bother doing it, right? So Franco shares some of his journey, and we have a 30-day belief challenge, which he's gone through, where we look at really core beliefs that directly shape what I experience in my day-to-day life. So, I talk about it a lot, and yet, unless you've gone through the 30-day belief challenge, unless you've gone through, our online workshops, it's something that a lot of people like don't really grasp. And I know not everyone who is exploring source energy medicine is interested in an online workshop. Not everyone's interested in mastering source energy medicine, which to me, I don't really understand, but I am very, very, very partial, especially like the master class on acute conditions, which covers COVID-19 and so much more. Like that level mastery, the handful of hours that it will take to achieve mastery of just that, right? Just so that whether it's food poisoning or a cold or a cough or a flu or COVID-19 or the next pandemic, you know exactly what to do. So that level mastery to me is very, very, very empowering. And I think there's a lot of people who are just honestly waiting for a vaccine, and that's all they want, right? They would much rather have that than take responsibility. I apologize. And I'm not, well, I am anti-vaccine, especially the number of vaccinations that are given to newborns these days. It's totally unnecessary. There are really good documentaries these days that are all about the dangers of vaccinations, really the truth about vaccinations. That's one in particular that a friend of mine, Jeff Hayes, produced a number of years ago, The Truth About Vaccines, but there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of also really fringe, even beyond the very logical, very well-founded research that shows the direct damage that vaccines do. There's a lot of what would be characterized as conspiracy theories. I apologize. Something is in my throat. This might be something I shouldn't be talking about. So, I apologize for the tickle. But there are a lot of conspiracy theories around all of this, and I don't want to talk about that here today, but if it's of any interest to you, and honestly, most people who are attracted to source energy medicine are not so interested in vaccines, which makes logical sense to me. And people inside of our community, right, if they choose to get a vaccination, it's like I don't judge them, right? I love them, I support them. And we each have to find what works best for us and what makes sense to us rationally and in our hearts, right? Because it's that heart-centered feeling that is such a part of the healing journey, right? So, I don't see any questions here in the chat, and I want to segue into the group energy healing session pretty quickly. So just to wrap up that conversation about working on the conscious and unconscious side of the fence, make sure you check out that video next week with our friend Franco. Very, very inspiring, and I think it puts the whole concept of doing work on the conscious side of the fence into context, right? Something that I can relate to, something that I can understand, because unless you've done that kind of work, and it's a lot of the work that Tony Robbins teaches, it's a lot of work that a lot of people teach, right? And it's work that I did kind of futilely before source energy medicine, and that's why I am so confident that doing that kind of work to either heal a childhood wound or going deep on a belief and unraveling that belief. All beliefs are rooted in the subconscious. So unless we can access the subconscious, and there certainly are some methodologies that can do that, but not in the way that source energy medicine does, not in a wholesale type of fashion where we take the entire, it's not the subconscious mind that I have an issue with. It's the way it's functioning, right? It's the way it's expressing itself. It's the way it is showing up. That's the problem. So if you have not heard me talk about any of this, we're done here. You can search on Google or search in on YouTube. YouTube has an amazing search engine. They're owned by Google. You could just type in source energy medicine and subconscious mind, and it'll turn up there. I think at this point on our YouTube channel, there are 3 videos where I talk about subconscious mind. Definitely make sure you check out the one where I talk about how the subconscious mind is either your Dr. Jekyll, or Mr. Hyde. It's either your worst enemy or your greatest asset. So, and it's absolutely, without question, the key to long-term positive success. We can, without transforming the subconscious mind, we can have short-term breakthrough, short-term success, and I certainly did before Source Energy Medicine, and that was part of my frustration. I knew that my body had the ability to heal itself, except I couldn't access that power. I couldn't access that ability. And the reason why is because my subconscious mind was calibrated so low, it's not funny. And it was that way since, the first breath that I took. So, so that's what I have on that topic. So make sure you check out that video. It's going to be released next Monday. And so group energy healing session. It's known as, you may not know, within Source Energy Medicine, we have charging labels, and we also have an energy healing modality. And the energy healing modality is the same technology that we use with charging labels, except there's no material substance. And that's where the name comes from. It's called the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine. I mentioned Franco is one of our non-material practitioners, and he facilitates, like all of our practitioners do, sessions for people and one-on-one and small groups, and sometimes large groups. I've facilitated large group sessions a handful of times, and with amazing, like the feedback was just off the charts beautiful. I love that we can do this work remotely, right? We don't have to be in the same physical space. We don't have to be in the same time-space reality. And whether you're watching this in replay or you're here with me live, it's equally effective, right? And there's some stipulations to that, but I'm just going to leave it at that. And there's definite benefit to revisiting a session a second time, a third time, a fourth time. It doesn't have to be the same session, but sometimes revisiting the same session, some people find they're able to go deeper and deeper and deeper. For our purposes here today, I'm going to encourage you to choose a single goal or a single challenge. And the reason why I say a single is because if you have 5 or 20 challenges and a whole bunch of goals and you just want to work on them all at the same time, you certainly can, but keeping track of measurable results becomes more difficult. And each time you watch one of these sessions, you could simply choose a different goal, and then you're able to track it, I think, much more carefully and receive feedback and see where there's bits that are missing, right? Because for all of us on our journey, even outside of Source Energy Medicine, very often, we're making progress. Sometimes we're making tremendous progress. Sometimes we're 95% of the way there. And that 5% that's missing is what's missing, right? And how can I go from 95 to 100? Or sometimes it's from 10 to 100, right? So more often than not, the work is the what's missing work, right? Which, back to my earlier comment about sometimes it's working on the conscious and unconscious side of the healing equation. And until I choose to do that, right, until I want to do that, I'm not going to be able to reach 100%, right? So I hope that makes sense. This work is phenomenally fast. It'll likely be 5 minutes or so. And my intention is to do the work that specifically will help to keep you well during this pandemic. It's not the equivalent of a session that I do one-on-one with a client by any means. And we really can't do that kind of a session with a group. That's the one limitation. However, I'm going to focus on that part. And for you, you can choose one goal or one challenge. I don't have to know consciously what your goal or challenge is. When we're doing this work, we're in the 0-point field. My higher self to your higher self, we're nothing but pure potentiality, far more expanded consciousness and awareness. And it is a place of all-knowing for each of us, right? I think it's really, really, really important to point out that especially within the energy work, but also with the charging labels, right? You are always healing yourself. And the same is true whether you're using herbs or if you're using adaptogenic herbs, or you're using some kind of a healing herb, or you're doing acupuncture or getting surgery, right? It is always, and I know the surgery example, some people, they just think that that's not possible, that I could possibly heal myself during surgery, but the surgeon is simply helping to facilitate the process for you. And I'm certainly not equating what I'm doing to the work of a gifted, talented, experienced surgeon. However, the point is that you are always healing yourself, no matter the methodology, no matter the modality. And, I don't use the word healer ever, because I think it's really inaccurate unless I'm talking about you, right? You are the healer. And it is an energy within you. It is that divine, eternal. It is that same energy that created you in terms of the start of your being, right? The start of your soul, if you will. It's the same energy that animates you in every way. It's the same energy that, has the seasons change and the sunrise and seasons changing or trying to adjust to human stupidity for hundreds of years. However, there's still genius behind it, right? It is divine intelligence that is everywhere in nature. And all too often, Wayne Dyer used to talk about this all the time, where a child is conceived, and then for 9 months, right? Mom certainly does all of the logical, smart things, and hopefully the father is supportive and helpful in every way that he can be. But for 9 months, like, they don't have to think about, okay, what's the work that we have to do today to have this baby develop? It happens, right? It happens organically, and in most cases, it happens just absolutely beautifully, right? Cases where there aren't difficulty or challenges or underlying conditions. And, what Wayne Dyer always used to speak to is like, so for 9 months, we leave it in God's hands. And then the moment that the baby's born, we say, okay, I got it from here. And he says, it's a huge mistake. And he had, I don't remember how many children, I think 8 children. And so coming from a father with that much experience, I think is such an awesome story and such an awesome comment. But yeah, that same divine energy that created you and nourished and loved and supported you as you were, I'm not talking about your biological parents, I'm talking about the energy that was developing all of the organs and functions and systems and knew exactly what to do each and every moment of the 9 months. So that same energy can continue to guide you, can continue to help you, and in this case, it can continue to heal you, right? So we can pretend that it's not there. Like, we can't ever really turn it off, but we could certainly deny it and ignore it, which is, what I did for most of my life. So, and now that I know that I have access to that energy, it's literally become this relationship that I never had with the source of all creation before. So, on your end, get as comfortable as possible. Some folks like to close their eyes. They think it helps to increase receptivity. I would agree with that. However, only do that if it's safe and appropriate, right? If you're in a place where it's comfortable and safe and appropriate for you to do that. If not, please don't. Again, it'll probably be about 5 minutes or so. I turn my camera off so that it's not distracting to you folks. And I'll have some chanting playing in the background. The chanting has nothing to do with the energy work. It's simply to help you to relax and so that you know that we are continuing to broadcast. And when I come back, I'll check the chat for last minute questions. But if you have been sitting on a question, you'll need to type something quickly so that we can wrap that up before we sign off for today. So, but before I segue into that, I just want to pause here for a moment and see if you have any questions about the non-material aspect of source energy medicine, any questions about the energy work that we're about to embark upon. And if not, we'll go ahead and get going here. So I'll get things set up technically. And if you don't have any questions, just go ahead and get as comfortable as you possibly can. and simply allow yourself to receive, which simply means to relax, trust the process as much as you can, and when you think of that goal or that challenge that you would like to focus your energy upon, just hold it loosely. Hold it loosely in your awareness and let it drift away. I think it's really important to point out that there is no order of difficulty when it comes to blessings, when it comes to healing, when it comes to miracles, because it is the source of all creation, divine, infinite intelligence that is always responsible for all of it. And to the source of all creation, there's nothing that is outside the scope of potential or possibility, nothing that is difficult. It's we as humans that create stories about challenges and difficulty and fight them and push back on them and freak out over them. That's in part creates difficulty in healing. So as much as possible, try and see your goal or see your challenge the way the source of all creation sees it, which is easy peasy, absolute piece of cake, and all of the rest is just busy work, right? It's all just getting everything into alignment, transforming the human-created issues, balancing the human-created organs and functions and systems and aspects, and then restoring everything to optimum, ideal levels. So simply continue to allow, continue to receive, continue to trust the process, and as much as possible, feel the unconditional love that the source of all creation is constantly showering upon you. I like to feel it like being wrapped in a warm blanket. The warm blanket is literally unconditional love. It's when the source of all creation gazes upon you, which is constantly and always. The source of all creation sees your innocence, your purity, sees the reason why he decided to create you in the first place, sees your purpose for being, sees your beauty, your genius, your unique genius that no one else can duplicate, no one else can come close to your unique genius. The source of all creation sees your eternalness, your innocence. Know that you are forgiven, and know you are capable of forgiving. Know that you're capable of letting go of hurts and stories that no longer support your well-being, that no longer foster well-being, that no longer support your mission, your purpose. So in that forgiveness, let go of any guilt that you might be holding on to for anything, for any reason. And just breathe into the purity of your being, the beauty of your being, the magnificence of your being. And allow yourself to be that. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Continue to allow, continue to receive, and trust that if you haven't already received the blessing, received the miracle that you would like to receive, that you requested, that was your intention for this session, just trust that it is on its way. Know that this work, even though it is phenomenally fast, will continue to be literally uploaded, downloaded, and installed into every aspect of your being. And I hope that camera fixed again. So I think we're good. Whether you're with me live or watching this on replay, I'd love to know how that was for you. So just type something into the chat quickly, or if you have a question that you've been sitting on that you have not typed into the chat, or if I missed something, just holler at me in the chat, shoot some emojis, something to get my attention. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. And like I said, if you're here with me live, I would love to know how that session was for you. Each one is different. Each one is just such a precious gift that every time I have the truly blessed experience to facilitate a group session, the rest of my day is just completely magical, and in so many ways, it feels like my feet are not touching the ground, and I don't think they're going to be touching the ground anytime soon. Such a gift and a blessing to have this opportunity, right, to be able to share this gift with you. There was a time in my life when I thought source-energy-medicine was a gift just for me, and I quickly realized that there is no way that the source of all creation gave me this amazing technology just to be able to heal myself, which in and of itself is miraculous, and in so many ways, especially because how many challenges I had before source-energy-medicine. So there's a teaching from A Course in Miracles that loosely states, those among us who have achieved the greatest have achieved a fraction of what's possible for each of us. And every time that I share my story, I'm on one hand, I get that it inspires a lot of people, and for a lot of people, who, especially those who have really significant, long-standing challenges, it's like there's too far of a gap, right, between where I am and where you are, where you may be on your journey. But I love that teaching, right? Those among us who have achieved the greatest have achieved a fraction of what's possible for each of us. So my experience is certainly not, just one miraculous story after another, but it is just simply one of the reasons why I share it is because I want you to know what's possible for you, and then way more than I've been able to accomplish and achieve, right? It's a fraction of what is possible for each of us. And the reason why that's true is because it's the source of all creation that is providing the blessings and the gifts and the miracles. And our work is to simply remove all of the blocks, right? Within source-energy-medicine, we look at it as resistance and allowance, and that's a big part of the work. And then once that's done, then we could look at conscious and unconscious beliefs that would be creating resistance, right? Creating roadblocks or creating sabotage or procrastination. So I hope all of that is helpful. Thank you, Ada. Ada shares, so with a whole bunch of O's. Amazing, Stephen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ada, for receiving this blessing. It seems like I talk about this a lot, but I don't think I could talk about it too much, right? Without you to receive these blessings, without you to receive these gifts and these miracles, it's just philosophy, right? It's just something that I know. It's a gift that I have and, no one to share it with, which would be super frustrating and awful for me. So bless you, Ada, and everyone for receiving it so beautifully. Fifth Wheel Reds shares, amazing. Happy Monday, and thank you. Awesome to have you with us. Deb shares, thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep the faith. Thank you, Deb. And Barbara Ann says, thank you, Stephen. So I will miss you next Monday. And God willing, we'll be back. I guess it's the first Monday in December, if I remember correctly. 2 weeks from today, I'll be back here live with you. Between now and then, stay connected within the Quick Start Guide. If you have any questions, I hope you know you can email me. There's lots of ways that you can contact me, and always happy to jump on Zoom with anyone, especially if you have a significant challenge, right? You've exhausted the Quick Start Guide, right? You've watched the videos you've searched for videos on YouTube and you can't find your answers. I'm always happy to schedule a time where we could jump on Zoom and we can talk about whatever it is that you like to talk about. But you got to do your work first, right? If we get on a Zoom and you're asking me questions about stuff that's in the Quick Start Guide, it's frustrating for me. So, but I want you to know that I'm here to help. I'm here to support you. You have access to me beyond just SEM Mondays. Certainly, folks who are in our online workshops know that. But I want to extend that beyond just the folks that are in our online workshops. So between now and when we're together again, live and virtually, I wish you continued blessings on your journey with